There you go. It's not completely your.
Mr. Mayor, you are on mic and recording.
Good evening, everyone. Happy 7 o'clock. Beautiful day in Frisco. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Frisco Town Council. Can I have the roll call, please?
Palenko.
Here.
Incan.
Here.
Mortensen.
Here.
Scripcheck Adrian.
Here.
Aaronson.
Here.
He is here remotely. Burley is absent and held.
Here. Thank you. First up this evening is public comment. Anyone who wish making a public comment this evening may do so now. Please be topic specific for anything that is not on this evening's agenda. Limit your comments to no longer than 3 minutes, and please state your name for the record. If you're joining online, you can unmute yourself, raise your hand, and I will call on you. Yeah, Donna, please.
Hello, Donna Scupian.
Gary Moss, we live at 333 Emily Lane.
So we talked with Rick Incan earlier today, and he told us that council was given a staff report based on file information in regards to when we bought lot 9 and lot 10. From what Rick mentioned, a little bit of the contents, it appears that some information is not correct and a lot is missing. Rick told us to come in again tonight for a second request for a work session so that we can actually present supporting documentation and discuss this situation that we're all in. We are asking if we could please be on the next work session agenda, which I believe is April 25th. But then we out front saw the report, and just to let you know, this delineation is not correct. So that's, like just one thing obvious from the Army Corps. So that's it. Rick, we did what you said, so hopefully you guys will get us on the agenda. It's really an interesting
Situation.
Thank you, guys and girls.
Appreciate that. Just for reference, there are printed copies of that staff memo since it wasn't included in any particular packet out front for anybody who wished to see what that public comment references and given it also in email and printed this evening. So additional public comments this evening. Faces in chambers, any online, seeing online, I will close public comment and to mayor and council comments.
I just would like to share something with you guys. Our last council meeting, we had a work session and we talked a lot about affordable housing, and I described an example of one of my employees who was unable to purchase a deed restricted home because she had made too much money. I wanted to share that she went back to the Summit County Housing Authority and her realtor, and they were able to figure it out. So this young 24-year-old girl just purchased a deed restricted home at Copper Mountain. And I just wanted to share her success in our community and to show that, when we talked, she was expressing how hard the Summit County Housing Authority worked with her to make that happen. And I just wanted to share that with everyone and provide some positive good news for young, long-term community members, especially within a housing market that is outrageously difficult to get into. So just wanted to share that wonderful news.
I would say, just for council's kind of information, I did go to the Pay As You Throw open house that we hosted at the Day Lodge the other day. Staff, Hillary and AC3 did a great job presenting what's to come, what we started, and really answered a bunch of good questions. I think it's great to hear the questions from the audience and overall support. And I think a lot of our concerns were concerns from the folks in the audience, and I think they were well addressed by HC3 and Hillary, and I think we're on the right track, and it's good event, good participation, and I think we're right course, so. Good turnout, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to remind everybody that Thursday night, we are doing an open house
Yes.
about Main Street. And how it affects the businesses on Main Street and everyone else. And so please come out to that if you can. And I know it's only staff here, but
I'm sure the Facebook page.
but staff should come too. Thanks.
I'll close out council comments, and this is addressing a request about 401 Emily Lane, which we heard a request on March 28th from Donna Scupian and Gary Moss requested during public comments. This was their first request of the summit, or the Frisco Town Council consider amending the covenant that restricts development on their property, again at 401 Emily Lane. Following the meeting on March 28th, we were provided relevant materials on the property that came from town archives that included a staff memo, which has been made available to everyone here tonight. And Donna and Gary have left with a copy of one of those. And after reviewing the materials, I wanted to thank all the council members for putting the time into reviewing the documents and communicating amongst us as a group. That we are not going to be considering any changes to that amendment at this time.
Agreed. Thank you, Rick. Andrew, I'd assume if you had comments from the online world, you were welcome to jump in, or we'll keep rolling.
Keep rolling. I'm good. Thank you.
Will do. Thank you. Next up, in mayor and council comments is, I'd like to just take a quick second and pause. And on behalf of town council and the staff in the town of Frisco, take a moment to recognize and appreciate our departing community development director, Don Reimer. Don served with the Summit County government for 2014 to 2020, and then came to the town of Frisco as a community development director in early 2020. Don arrived at the town just in time to help us shepherd our community and businesses through the challenges created by the pandemic. He was instrumental in supporting the ability of businesses to adapt during the pandemic by creating a plan and process for Main Street Promenade parklets, while continually seeking feedback regarding how the town was supporting businesses. Don has also been instrumental in facilitating significant progress on affordable housing initiatives, such as ushering Granite Park from an idea with an agreement with CDOT, and then to a complete design and contract with a general contractor. Due to his diligence, the town has also been able to secure substantial grant funding for Granite Park. He has also been instrumental in several other affordable housing projects, including the purchase of 602 Galena and a project on west end of Main Street. His numerous contributions positively impact the Frisco community for many years to come. This evening will be Don's final Frisco Town Council meeting, and we wish Don well in his new position as the Chaffee County Administrator. We know he'll likely golf more during the milder southern winter climates of Chaffee County, but we're sure that he will still need to travel to go scuba diving. Your alter ego, Don Reimer, will be greatly missed here, and the town is pleased to know that you will always have a tube to spin on and a pontoon boat to drift on when you come to visit your other hometown of Frisco. Don, thank you so much. We can't thank you enough for all you've done.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. And if I'd known you were going to do this, I would have zoomed in for one last meeting.
Man, I'm not gonna let you off the hook that easily. Neither. The council has anything they'd like to say to Don, please do so.
I'll start. Really, Don, thank you. You made a lot of what I consider our successes at this point possible. And I really appreciate that you grasped onto your creativity and all, and you made all this happen. So thanks.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you.
In this job, I haven't worked with you all that long, but
business I have, yes, and you have always been so helpful, and so patient with me, and I really appreciate
I stopped by and told Don how I felt about him earlier. But in the context of, you've made so many things possible for me as a business owner, but also as a new council member. You've been patient all around in all of those ways, and you've given me some great advice, some great tips. It's been great. That cast meeting was fun. I just really appreciate your presence, and you're super, I don't know, smart. And I appreciate that. Is that weird?
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Don. A lot of hard work and a lot of great conversation. Brett, I echo what everyone else says, but how I really feeling about you going is I'm really excited. What an opportunity, and you're going home, right? As per our conversation. So good for you. You'll be missed, but they're fortunate for what they're getting.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate that.
And Drew is unmuting.
Yep. So Don, you're pretty good. The thing, Don, I really appreciate is your open door policy. And I just want to, and I probably took advantage of it when I saw your door open and I had a small question. You were always there. You were always welcoming to take the time from your otherwise overburdened day. But it was really appreciated. And I hope that's something you can take with you to the new role, because from my perspective, it was a really, really welcoming open door. So thank you for being there whenever I needed to have it.
Of course. Thank you, Andrew. And
Wish you the best. Wish you the best of luck. I really do. I think it's going to be a great opportunity.
Thank you. And honestly, town council, this has been a great council to work with. You've made it really easy to do my job. Always very supportive of our staff. And any ideas that we might have, and really saying, okay, let's run with that and really go with it. So, and great staff. Tom's been for past 6 months. It's been great to get to know and work with Tom. The rest of our staff as well. So I mean, couldn't have fallen into a better situation when I came to work here. And now it's always bittersweet to leave. I mean, we've got we're breaking ground on Granite Park that we worked on for over 3 years next Monday. So I mean, just all these things that are in progress, and we're just really moving along. And then, but I'll be checking in whenever I can, and maybe I'll just watch on YouTube every now and then just to make sure. So, but it's been an amazing experience, and I really appreciate you all. So. Yeah.
Good news is we're gonna make him stay for the whole meeting, so it's not done yet. Next up this evening is the any additional staff updates that were in the packet.
And we have some. So to follow council members' comment about the open house this week, certainly about the future of Main Street for the summer, from 5 to 6:30 at Highside Brewing. There's a rumor that there could be drinks available. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but there's a rumor. Also, for council, you're going to see starting on 4/14, communication go out with several different ways, but definitely VMS boards, where we're going to start warning the public about the changes that are coming to Granite Street. If you want detail on that, we can get that to you. The changes are going to happen between the 24th and the 28th of this month. So the new stop signs, if the pavement is warm enough, we will get the pavement markings down, or we'll wait until the pavement is warm enough to do that. So just know that that's out there. And if you want more detail, if anybody's asking you about it, we can provide that to you. There is CML is doing their annual spring outreach meetings around the state. There is one in Vail on June 1st at 3 p.m. If you'll let me or Stacy or Kyle know if you have interest in attending that, we'll get you set up for that. There is also, and I'm not sure that I have the full details on this yet, but maybe somebody in the audience does. The backyard planning that's been going on, there is a public comment period coming up and public meetings surrounding that. They're going to be in late May. We'll get you more details on that as well. And then the last thing I've got is Leslie's got an update on our certificates of participation.
So speaking of the housing that Don mentioned, today we had our pre-pricing call for the financing, the certificates of participation for Granite Park. All of the numbers are looking good. So the purpose of the call was to give us some preliminary numbers about where the market's looking, where buyers are interested. They all came in well below our maximums that we had set in the ordinance. The all-in true interest cost for the town, that includes our issuance costs, that is 3.87%. And additionally, I should note that we did have some interest locally in the retail market. So for people to be able to purchase at that minimum of 5,000. So that's nice that the locals had an opportunity to do so.
Next up on this evening's agenda is the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve by Pro Tem Incan. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Scripsack. Adrian, is there any discussion on the motion? Call the question, please.
Held,
Yes.
Palenko,
Yes.
Incan,
Yes.
Mortensen,
Yes.
Skrupcheck, Adrian,
Yes.
Aronson,
Yes.
and Burley is absent.
Next up this evening is agenda item number 1. This is resolution 23-18, a resolution establishing the Frisco Home Improvement Loan Program. I'll open up the public hearing, turn it over to staff and welcome Don.
Good evening, Mayor and Council again. So this program, and fitting on my last meeting, we bring forth a brand new program for somebody else to implement. But several months ago, council had some retreat and some brainstorming sessions, and Councilmember Aronson suggested that there might be an opportunity to develop a home improvement loan program that could assist existing homeowners in maintaining their property, making emergency repairs and whatever else if they were unable to otherwise qualify for conventional loan. So as a result, in looking at some other programs in other areas, we came up with the bones of a program here in order to do that. And essentially this would be available to any permanent full-time Frisco resident to come to the town, apply for some funds out of the housing fund or the general fund, depending on how council wanted to allocate that and appropriate that on an annual basis, to have a loan for up to $50,000 at a low interest rate in order to make those home repairs and then stay in their homes. Again, we've had a number of our strategic plan goals are related to maintaining our full-time residents and keeping an opportunity for full-time residents in our town, whether it's workforce housing or whether it's market rate housing. So this is an opportunity to do that. And with that, I guess I'll take any questions that you may have regarding the program. And we can go into more detail into some of the criteria that's in the staff report as well.
Don, do you mind if I supplement? Which I really appreciate.
Please do.
I really appreciate you getting this done before you head out. Because I've seen this work before and I'm really hoping it works for Frisco. But the one thing that is to be reiterated again and again is there is no repayment requirement for the loan. So they're getting a 3% until they sell or refinance their house. So we're not burdening somebody who's already cash strapped on a monthly basis with the obligation to pay on a monthly basis. They will repay the town, but it's a program that for those who need it, and I assume there are lots of people who need it, we just need to get them to know about it. This is a big deal. You know, it's probably not for everybody. It's probably for those who have built up the equity. But for those who have the opportunity to use this product, it's a big deal. So I hope we get the word out. I hope it goes forward, and I hope when we're together at a cast meeting, you find out that it's been really successful and you're going to implement it in your area too. So thank you for doing this.
Absolutely. And thank you for that, adding that additional information. So,
I know this has been discussed as we've gone through this, but just as a reminder that like a special assessment for an HOA would probably qualify for the majority of these, because that's usually bigger picture needed fixes for a bigger unit.
and oftentimes those come out of the blue. I mean, if you're in a condo, you get a special assessment for a roof and it's $20,000. A lot of people, most people might not have that, especially if in some of these smaller condos, especially if they're a member of the workforce or on a fixed income, such as some of our seniors or retirees or whatever else. So again, this is an opportunity that really could help some people, some of our local residents stay in their homes.
And can you also remind me, how are we gonna track that they're staying full-time residency in that property?
So again, since this is a new program, my suggestion would be that it would be similar to the annual deed monitoring that we do for deed restricted properties, where we send out a questionnaire to those that have taken out these loans and have signed the promissory notes, and they return those saying, yes, I still am a full-time resident. Again, since these would also be recorded at the clerk and recorder's office, if it did come up for sale or I believe for refinance as well, that should show up as on the title during that process.
Question for public comment? This time I'll open up this agenda item for public comment. You can take that with you as a parting gift. Seeing no public comment, I'll close public comment and back to council discussion. Yeah, I'm with Andy. Andrew, I think I appreciate you also keeping this one alive and working with staff on making sure this happens. And I think the big one for me is particularly that HOA thing. I know numerous people who've been, I mean, we know the age of a vast majority of our complexes in Frisco are old and tired and have probably not seen the upkeep. And with the cost of real estate now, the people who are buying those units, they have the money to do those things, and adversely affecting the folks who are living in them are part of this community. So I think that's opportunity, as you said, keep people in their condos, in their homes that might have been at risk otherwise. So I'm looking forward to this. I think it's a great practice locally.
We fully support this. It's another small piece of the greater housing topic that we've been working on in workforce housing and keeping people here. And I hope people take advantage of it. And I hope we do whatever we can to get the word out.
I think certainly we'll rely on Vanessa and her communications department team to get that word out and share it with just the community as a whole. So.
Probably talking about it, right?
Oh, sure.
Perhaps a motion.
I just clarifying and then a motion, Don.
Mhm.
I know we had talked about this with Inception, that it may not be available to folks that are in a deed restricted. I don't see that in here now.
Correct. And I think the reason for that is it does make sense for deed restricted property owners to do that because they may not be able to have the equity in order to take out a loan to do some of those repairs. And in a case like that, the deed restricted home may fall into a little bit of a disrepair. And we do want to make sure that our workforce housing, our deed restricted housing stock stays viable.
That's exactly why I wanted it so to be available. So thank you. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve resolution 23-18.
Move to approve by Mayor Pro Tem Incan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Scripsack. Adrian, is there any discussion on the motion? Call the question, please.
Burley is absent. Held.
Yes.
Palenko.
Yes.
Incan.
Yes.
Mortensen.
Yes.
Scripcheck. Adrian.
Yes.
Aronson,
Yes, thank you.
Approved.
Thank you.
Next up this evening's agenda, item number 2, this is first reading of ordinance 23-08. An ordinance amending chapter 127 of the town code concerning offenses by amending sections 127-42 concerning definitions, 127-43 concerning general smoking restrictions, 127-44 concerning exemptions to smoking restrictions, and 127-45 concerning optional smoking prohibitions to conform to the town's smoking prohibitions to the state's prohibitions. Let's open up the public hearing. Turn it over to our town attorney. Pat, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As noted in your staff memo back in 2006, it seems like yesterday, the state adopted a statewide indoor smoking ban or prohibition. At that time, localities were allowed to adopt local ordinances that similarly banned smoking, but were required to do so in a way that was not less stringent than the state statute. That requirement remains today. Since 2006, and in particular since 2015, which is the last time the town amended this smoking ordinance, it was to address vaporizing devices and the advent of marijuana. At any rate, since 2015, the legislature has amended the statute to be less permissive with respect to smoking. They have taken away the ability for hotels and motels to designate 25% of their rooms as smoking rooms, for instance. The statute once allowed for smoking in small workplaces, 3 employees or less, that were not open to the public. That has been removed as well. Initially, they're not really pertinent to Frisco, but in its original form, the state statute allowed smoking on the floor of casinos. That's now been removed. And they've recently adopted some regulations that don't allow anyone under 21 years of age to go into the retail tobacco business. They've also, state statute has adopted some signage requirements for those businesses. The issue is, and it essentially becomes housekeeping, I would suggest under a code, but the issue is that as the state statute has become more restrictive, ours has become less stringent than the state statute, and that isn't allowed in the state statute. So all of these changes are to bring our prohibitions into conformance with the changes to the state statute. With that, I'm happy to go into the ordinance and answer any questions that you might have in detail there. It does exactly what I've just described. It also adds a definition of electronic smoking device. It was necessary in connection with the new prohibition relative to retail smoking shops. Signage. So with that, I can answer any question.
Yeah, I had a little bit, while I was reading this, I was just wondering about people vaping in places.
It applies equally.
Okay,
It is, vaping is smoking for purposes of this prohibition.
Okay.
And has been for quite some time. The new definition of electronic smoking device is really just inserted because the statute did it. Ours had already been amended in 2015 to say vaping is smoking.
that's cool.
The questions?
That's important to stay up to date. It's essentially housekeeping. That's a little overdue, but I haven't noticed it causing any problems lately. I think smoking in workplaces is so dead now that
Hopefully. I'll open this agenda item up for public comment. Is there anyone wishing to make public comment on this particular agenda item? I'll close public comment. Back to council discussion. If there have been motions. Okay.
it's been read once.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve ordinance 23-8.
It's been moved to approve by Mayor Pro Tem Incan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Malenko. Any discussion on the motion? Can you call the question, please?
Aronson,
Yes,
Burley is absent, Held,
Yes.
Malenko,
Yes.
Incan,
Yes.
Mortensen,
Yes.
Skrepchik, Adrian,
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next up this evening is old business. This is agenda item number 3. This is the second reading of ordinance 23-10, ordinance amending chapters 180 of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Frisco concerning the Unified Development Code by amending sections 180-5.5.1 concerning affordable housing incentives and section 180-3-9.3 concerning general definitions. I'll open up the public hearing for staff.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. So this is a continuation of our continued efforts in order to facilitate and make more opportunities for affordable workforce housing. And that's an amendment to our town code to do so. As this is a second reading and there were no changes from the first reading, I was not planning on going into the highlights of this, but I certainly can if you would like to, unless the mayor would like to read them all.
Got a pretty good handle on this one. Questions for staff on this particular? Questions all over for public comment. You should make public comment on this particular agenda item. All good. It seemed like you two might, but I wasn't sure. Seeing no public comment online, I'll close public comment and back to council discussion.
Thank you.
Take it away.
Yeah, this has been a long time coming, and I really consider this a major for workforce housing. And nice work on everybody's part in order to get to this point, and I think it's really made a difference, or will make a difference once we implement it. So, thank you all. Yeah, sure.
Seemed like you were teeing it up perfectly, so.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the second reading of ordinance 23-10.
Thank you. That's good to go. It's been moved to approve by Councilmember Held. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Scripsack. Adrian, is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, can you call the question, please?
Scripchick Adrian,
Yes.
Aaronson,
Yes.
Burley is absent, Held,
Yes.
Malenko,
Yes.
Incan,
Yes.
Mortensen.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. Next up this evening is an executive session.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we enter into an executive session pertinent to CRS section 24-6-402(4) to determine positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, to develop strategies for negotiations, and to instruct negotiators, each in conjunction with the potential construction of affordable housing projects on the real property that may be purchased and real property that may be sold.
Move to enter into executive session. Incan, is there a second? Second by Councilmember Held. Is there discussion on the motion? Call the question, please.
Mortensen,
Yes.
Scripchick Adrian,
Yes.
Aaronson,
Yes.
Burley is absent, Held,
Yes.
Malenko,
Yes.
Incan.
Yes. Take a moment to switch over. Andy, we'll see you on the other side. Wanted.